We create our reality from our predominant emotional feeling state. The feeling state of our being is very much intertwined with our vibration, and that's dialed into a specific frequency. David Hawkins did a great job of mapping out the levels of consciousness. I highly recommend his work for you to dive into, because it will give you a really intimate, intricate overview and deep dive into your reality that you are creating right now. We are feeling and emotional beings. The fabric of what we are is a very feeling. We are feeling beings. We are not logical thinking. That's a part of our mechanism and structure. But at our depth core, we are feeling. And it's with that feeling that tunes us into a frequency, which then attracts in all of our thoughts, beliefs, images. Everything that we hold within our consciousness is determined by the frequency that we are dialed into at any given moment. And everything through this journey, it is a non-linear path. So we fluctuate and move between different frequencies at any given moment. We have prevailing frequencies which are evolved and developed through our childhood up to this present moment. We have the collective frequency and vibration of our environment. And then you have the collective vibration and frequency of the world as we expand a little bit further. But we could utilize where we are at the minute, which is very much a survival paradigm way of being. And when I say survival paradigm, I'm talking about emotions like fear, anger, grief, guilt, apathy, shame. These are very dense emotions which all culminate and manifest from the animal brain, part of ourselves. We've evolved through such eons of time that these have naturally become the more go-to emotion because of how long we've been utilizing this emotional framework for. The survival paradigm has been going on for eons and eons of years. But now we can find out, and now we're in this like sprouting phase of new evolutionary development of being human. We're now discovering not only do we have this physical brain, which is evolved past the animal brain into the neocortex, and now we've discovered that there's an energy brain going on within us, which is our next step in our evolutionary stage, which is really exciting, which brings in the higher capacity and higher vibrational frequencies of love, forgiveness, and peace. But because this older part of ourselves is so old, it's so prevailing, it has molded and shaped the culture that we're in even to this day. We live in a society that precipitates and provokes fear, anger, guilt, shame. This is the construct of where we are right now. And as individuals, it's really important that we tune into how we feel and our vibrational frequency, because that's going to determine what we're going to attract in, and then in turn what we're going to start creating. So I ask you this question now: what emotion are you creating from now? What frequency are you tuned into? What are your prevailing thoughts? What's your prevailing feeling? What are the prevailing images? What are your prevailing habits and behaviors? When we're dealing with an emotion as intense as fear, and fear is very subtle, it can be very strong. It has a kaleidoscope of degrees of intensity. It can be so subtle, and then it can be so strong. And we've got to remember that our environment, our culture, our family network, our family's frequency that we were raised with through childhood has a really powerful effect on where we are now. Once we're tuned into a frequency, it develops the habits and behaviors and thoughts that come with that frequency, which then create the identity, which then create a paradigm, which then create it to be, this is how it is. This is our normal. And it's really important to touch on that. It's really important for you to tune into and reverse engineer where you've come from up to this point, which can help you determine the frequency that you're in, that you're at right now. Because utilizing our past as a tool for growth is extremely powerful when it comes to figuring out our frequency and vibration. We have these subconscious patterns impressed by our past and our early childhood development, which then turn how we are creating within our lives, how we are creating our supposedly normal. How powerful is the survival paradigm in your life right now? And it can take a while to observe this, to feel into, to write things down, to assess where you are right now. The reason why I would overemphasize the importance of this is due to what is happening due to the frequency that you are tuned into. What emotions of the survival paradigm, anger, fear, guilt, desire, apathy, shame, which ones are you ebbing and flowing between? And we do have these glimpses of higher vibrational frequencies coming in. But we're at this stage now where it hasn't become the prevailing force and power within ourselves and within the culture that we live in now, because you can just look at what's happening on the world right now. There's this unearthing of the survival paradigm is actually coming to its knees. These old habits and ways of being, these old frequencies, these old vibrations are no longer serving us. And when we go into this, when we start to really talk about raising our vibration and evolving and ascending higher up the spectrum, and when I talk about higher up the spectrum, we're talking about going into the spiritual paradigm, which is love, peace. We could talk about acceptance, neutrality, reason. It's this shedding of a skin that we're going through now, when we really start to really look at and become attuned to this old vibration, this old story that's playing out within the world that we live in right now. This call to move and ascend higher is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. The call to heal our nervous system and heal our energy body, our physical body, our chemistry, to become aligned with this higher aspect of our individual but also collective journey, moving higher up. The pull for that is getting stronger, which is bringing up all that needs to be resolved and healed through. So now we're actually dealing with, on our individual journey, you'll start to notice that you'll start to feel almost like that you're sharing collective grief, collective anger that is being brought to the surface for you to recognize and heal through. And through this process, we're going to have different degrees and different levels of creative and creation power. When we're navigating through times of intense anger coming up, we've got to expect things to be reflected back at us that are congruent with that frequency and vibration. There's going to be hostility, there's going to be discord, there's going to be inharmony within your reality while you're going through this recalibration phase going on at the minute. Because that's essentially what you're doing as a spirit right now. You are recalibrating to a higher vibrational frequency, but through that journey, it means there's going to be those trial and errors. There's going to be tests along the way which come from the depth of our unconscious individual and collective, and that's a way to break it down, but those two facets of a being human are one anyway. It's all one when I speak of that, even if it sounds separate. We live in this world of duality, but there's also this unification going on as well. So we have now a map to help us process through this world, this landscape that we're on at the minute, for you to start really intimately understanding the terrain and map and landscape that you're navigating right now is so important. And that map is broken down with our emotions in the multitudinous and kaleidoscope fashion that they are. I really recommend printing out the Map of Consciousness by David Hawkins. It's a great visual representation of where you are. It helps us understand where we are, but it helps us to understand what we can strive for to help us move out of, but not bypass where we're at. It's fully acknowledging where we are. If I'm stuck in anger, I need to acknowledge that. I need to be able to process that anger. That's why I find breathwork such a cool tool. It helps so powerful when it comes to processing stagnant emotion within us. But we can also be really conscious about the choices that we make. Where can we be more willing? Where can we be more courageous? Where can we be more accepting with where I am? If I'm in anger, I can be like, this is where I am. Even that, saying that and being at one with where you are is a really powerful place to be. But really start to deepen your journey and your process of where you are right now. And this map is such a great tool to do that. So wherever you are on your emotional reality creation journey, keep tuning into what's being reflected back at you. Keep tuning into how you feel. Keep prioritizing how you feel. Prioritize your vibration. Prioritize your frequency. And be really proactive and productive when it comes to your frequency and vibration, because of the profound consequences that come with what you are tuned into at any given moment when it comes to the world that you are creating, and in turn that we create together. Sending you so much love, my friends. Thank you so much for being here. Once again, drop a comment with let me know where you are on your spiritual journey. What's prevailing for you at the minute? What's unfolding for you? What are you learning right now? What are you getting out of this? Wherever you are, sending you so much love. Taking a conscious breath. And I will see you in the next video.